Fine.
The theme of today's meeting is whatever you do, always give 100%, unless you're donating blood. Quite an interesting one. And we in Toastmasters believe 100% in this. And that's why, even after being a voluntary organization where no one gets paid, actually, it's the other way around. We pay to the Toastmasters International. But at the same time, we have this voluntary spirit in us that keeps us going. And that voluntary spirit is that we want everyone to be better communicators and leaders. We want to develop those skills for us as an individual and also for everyone who comes in association with us. With that in mind, thank you all very much for joining this meeting today. Different Toastmasters Club do meetings in different ways. There is a concept called PIE, PIE, prepared speeches, impromptu speeches, and evaluation. Some of the Toastmasters Club do it that way. But we in Athlone Toastmasters do it in a way called IPE. So we start with the impromptu speeches first, then we have the prepared speeches, and then we have the evaluations. Before we start this meeting, I would like our role takers to please give a brief introduction of their roles. I would like to start with our timer of the evening, Monica Medina, to please explain us what the timer role involves in. Thank you very much, Monica.
Hello, thank you so much. Good night to everybody. Yeah, so the timer role is just to acquire and measure the time for each one of the participants in the different activities. So I'm going to use these sheets probably just to show you when you are okay to continue, when you are close to the limit, and when you need to stop. Okay. And yeah, that's all I think. Do I need to mention what time for each participant, or?
It's okay. It's up to you if you want to mention.
Okay. Yeah. The speeches are from 5 to 7 minutes, and for the table topics, we have 2 minutes per participant, and yeah. So I think mainly is that part. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Let's give a huge round of applause to Monica. She's the new member in our club. Huge round of applause. It's great to have you in our club, Monica. Thank you so much.
Very welcome, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one small addition is the first person gets 2 minutes and the follow-ons get 1 minute.
Okay.
That is the addition. Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you.
The next person I would like to introduce would be the grammarian of our day, and I would say we do the R counter and grammarian together as one role. Generally, in different Toastmasters clubs, they do it in two different people do two different roles. But in Athlone Toastmasters, the R counter and grammarian role, one person does. And today, David Dolan is helping us with that. So David, please help us with what your role is, and also please give us the word of the night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samesh, and fellow Toastmasters. My role tonight is the role of grammarian and and a counter. So as grammarian, it's my responsibility to pay close attention to all the speakers and listening carefully to good use of language, and take note of any improper language or crutch words, or I'm also keep an eye out for interesting quotes or turns of phrase. So as my other duty as grammarian is to introduce the word for the meeting, and I've decided to use the word auspicious. you might be able to see that. I'll put it out into chat anyway. The word auspicious, which means showing or suggesting that future success is likely. And I think that's going to be very apt for both this meeting and for the club and this season in general. So it's so for example, they say that it was an auspicious moon, it was rising. So it's a sign of good things for the future. So that's the word of the day, auspicious. And I'll just put that into the chat now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, David. We got an auspicious beginning to the Athlone Toastmasters meeting today with 9 members here and Charles from Tullamore Toastmasters. And Deirdre is a dual member of Longfoot Toastmasters and Athlone Toastmasters. We got auspicious beginning today. Thank you so much, David, for giving the word of the day. The next role I would like to introduce is that of the Topics Master, and I would like to actually hand over the gavel as well to the Topics Master. Please introduce your role and please start with your role. Thank you very much, Antoinette.
Thank you, Sept. Well, the purpose of table topics is to help members think on their feet and to speak on a given topic that you don't know about for between 1 to 2 minutes. You get the opportunity to speak without having the luxury to plan in advance, and it helps prepare people for occasions where they may be called on to speak. So I will take turns to invite people to speak on the topics I've prepared, and I will hope that we'll have a topic for everyone here this evening. And if someone wishes to speak or do an add-on, just if you raise your hand, I'll watch out and you can speak on the topic then for a minute. I will be sounding a bell, but I know from the past it can be hard to hear. But I don't know, can you hear that? Or maybe I'll just wave it up here. I'll do my best to try and alert you to the time. So I have varied topics and I hope you find them interesting. So I will now start what I hope will be a very auspicious topics section for our meeting this evening. So for our first topic, it has often been said that those of us lucky enough to live in the countryside benefit from a more relaxed pace of life with more space around us and freedom from traffic congestion. However, a lot of people have very little choice about moving to cities, as this is where a lot of the jobs are. Do you think that the pandemic has changed this viewpoint? And I'm going to give that to Deirdre, if that is okay.
Madam Topics Master, thank you very much for that topic. Yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's probably a little bit early to fully decide exactly the effect of the pandemic on people, but there's kind of, from what I can figure out, there's kind of a cross between quite a lot of people find that they can't wait to get back into an office to meet real people, to have short conversations across the hall, to have the social aspect of it. I know people who they've been sharing a flat for the last 18 months. They get on quite well with each other, but they really do not want to spend 24 hours a day with that one person. They want to go out and meet people. So I do think, yes, there is, probably people, I suspect that people will have a slightly better choice for the future. The jobs are definitely in the bigger towns or cities, depending on the type of job that you, type of career you have in mind. But I think that maybe there'll be a little bit more flexibility. So if you do work, say you have to commute a good way to your job, you might be able to work 3 days at home, maybe work 2 days in the office, and you get a bit of both worlds. I think often relaxation and enjoyment and things like that is in your mind. You know, I think that if you're lucky enough that you can calm yourself down and do mindful meditation and various things like that, you will be able to find peace and serenity in the middle of a bustling crowd. Not being one of those people, I need the countryside. So I think it's just a little bit too soon to decide what the effect of the pandemics will be. There's definitely an element of it's everybody for themselves as to whether they find things relaxing or not. You cannot beat the countryside, especially when we could walk and nobody else could walk in towns. So that's it. Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Deirdre.
Charles has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Charles.
Well, as a farmer, I work from home the whole time. But I was just talking to a cousin of mine there last week, and he's usually working up in Dublin, and he was saying before the pandemic, he used to go up, I think it was 6:30 in the morning, and he wouldn't get to work until around 8 o'clock. And now he gets up at 7:30 in the morning, goes down to his living room, and he's at work at 8 o'clock. And he says that he spends he's a lot more time for his kids. Like as soon as he's finished working, say 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, every time he's finished, he can go to football matches, or he can go to a hurling match, or he can go even just help him with the kids' homeworks. But before this, he wouldn't be home until 7 or 8 o'clock, and it'd be nearly time for his child to go to bed at that stage. So what he was saying, he hopes that maybe work 3 days at home and 2 days up in office, or something like that, or maybe the other way around. But I think that's and a few of my friends and the same boat, and they want to go back to the office, but just say 2 or 3 days a week, and the rest of the time spend at home, working from home. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that's what will happen anyway. Thanks.
Thank you, Charles. Okay, for our next, oh, sorry, Sharon, go ahead.
I think it's different strokes for different folks, and I've seen people do really well working at home. Suddenly Wi-Fi has improved in rural Ireland than it was years ago. But I know of a friend that leaves her front door dressed and comes in her back door ready to start work because she needs the transition. So I was reading a really important thing about the transitioning, and seemingly males need more transition time, which they normally find on the commute home, than females do, which was really interesting. And it's something that this unwinding and transitioning from work to home has been lost when there's been no commute. So that's a very interesting.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Are we okay? I'll move on to the next topic. Thank you. In the last year, we have seen big changes in the banking world, with announcements from both Bank of Ireland and Ulster Bank, which will leave many rural towns with no physical banking activities. Do you think digital banking is in the future? And what impact will it have on these rural towns? I'm going to put that one to Sept, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. It's a very pertinent question for the contemporary times that we live in. Everything is going online nowadays. The best example is Toastmasters itself. We had got this traditional way of education in Toastmasters, where things were based on books. We had the manuals. Competent communicator, advanced communicator, bronze, advanced communicator, silver, advanced communicator, gold. And everything was based on the actual books. And now we have transformed into the pathways system, which is mainly purely based on online system, and lots of members who are not into technology are finding it very hard to navigate through the technology. And I can fully understand that. I think the same thing is happening across all the different spheres of life. And banking, as you said, is a great example there. The online banking has got, absolutely, it is advantageous. And actually there are lots of apps that are coming up nowadays that make the transfer of money very easy. For example, there is an app called Revolut, and then we have PayPal, and then there are so many other apps. It's making the life easy. But at the same time, we have to understand, as you mentioned, Topics Master, that we have a certain section of society who are not into technology. And we have to be mindful of that section of society and cater to their needs. It's very important. I think we will create a totally inauspicious society if we don't cater to the needs of all different sections of our society. So to create auspiciousness in the society, we do need to look into the aspects which are not online as well, and be mindful of that and act on it. So that would be my view. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samesh. I'll move on to my next topic. And Monica, what are 3 things that might be on your bucket list?
Oh, thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. Yeah, I think the top one are like the keep exercising myself. So this is something very important for my health, especially now that when we started this pandemic. So I need to move on and keep my body moving. So that's something important for me. Also continue my growing up in my professional career. I think that's something very important. So this is with technology. So technology is changing all the time, and it's very important to go moving with this also. And of course, my family, that's keeping my family happy, and that's something important that I like to do always, and that I need to looking for new activities or ways to reinvent ourselves or our activities according to what we are living every time. So yeah, those would be like the 3 things to do to continue doing in my list. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Monique. Now, for my next topic, Francis, do you think that challenges you may have faced in the past have improved you as a person?
Absolutely. That made me mentally tough and very cool under pressure. Like, I know what it's like to perhaps suffer from depression. I know what it's like to have extreme lows due to clusters of seizures. I know what it's like to come straight off epilepsy drug and feel I'm going to die. And having had brain surgery, it has made me an absolute much stronger person, a happier person. And considering that I've spent most of my life being looked after by nurses, I think it's very poetic that today, for 17 years, I've been working in a nursing department looking after nurses. But it has made me a much stronger person. It has made me more thoughtful. And at the moment I'm doing, if you want to talk about a bucket list, I've made up a personal development, which is about listening, patience, awareness, courtesy, even tone, pace as regards to talking, and balance and tone. These are all aspects that I'm trying to improve, but there are also aspects that improved a great deal due to suffering. So I think it's priceless. Maybe some people will go downhill, but it's made me an incredibly stronger person. It's made me more aware of the needs of others when people are suffering, that I have a better idea of how to identify with it. I've put everything behind me. Like, it's just incredible. It's a new life. I went from, and it was an awful run, from being an introvert that had no confidence to an overconfident, arrogant extrovert. It's amazing when you get confidence for the first time. It's like a dog with a bone in their mouth. You don't know what to do with it. But then you rebalance and you become a confident ambivert, which is kind of the salt and pepper of being an introvert and an extrovert. But I think what has happened to me has been a great mind builder and has made me an incredibly strong person. And Toastmasters, of course, has helped as well. Anyway, that's as much as I can say. I could talk more, but you won't let me.
Thank you, Francis. Now for our next topic. David, if you won the lottery, what would be your most expensive purchase?
That's easy. That's easy, Antoinette. Yeah. I'd like to buy a big, huge John Deere. If a John Deere, that's the type of a tractor, and I might even go all out and get the option with a loader, you know. So that would be, yeah. So no, simple question for me. And if I got a smaller lotto win, I'd probably just paint the tractor and give it a new coat of paint just to freshen it up a little bit, you know. So that's where I would go. But the lottery, yeah, I don't really play the lotto religiously. I kind of, it's a nice dream. It is that, I suppose it adds a certain bit of color to your day. When the lotto is big, it is it's something to wish, and you wish, and it's a dream, and it's an escape. But I suppose the hard reality of it is that the chance of winning the lotto is if I filled maybe my own house with telephone directories and picked up my own number within the telephone. That's the odds, you know. So it's minuscule. I know people win it and people win Euro millions, and it happens. But really, as a game of chance, you know, the normal person has no purchase. Having said that, people win it all the time. Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, David. Now, Sharon, it was great this summer that we were able to travel around and move around our country more, and our family, we had some great trips, and we targeted in particular the Wild Atlantic Way. Did you get any chance to visit some of our great destinations in Ireland this summer?
This summer I did a few, but the greatest summer for traveling in Ireland, I'd have to just go back to 2019, where we traveled all 32 counties in Ireland in one summer. And we stayed in every, like, Airbnb, we stayed in converted barns and did all sorts of things. Saying that, I couldn't pick my favorite place in Ireland. I am so passionate that wherever we went, it was just stunning. We hiked, you know, in Sligo, the cliffs of Kesh, and went into caves and had great views. The beaches in Donegal and Sligo were just incredible. We did the Walls of Derry, which my gang just didn't like the history of whatsoever, but they learned a lot that they'll use in school in the future. Going to the Giant Causeway and that horrible road bridge in Antrim, where it might have amazing views, but for a scaredy cat like me, it was absolutely nail-biting. Seeing where the Game of Thrones was filmed, north or south, wherever we went, it was just amazing. And we learned what a blah was when we went to Waterford. And it's something that I've never tasted before. And I would just go to Waterford now just to have a blah, because apparently they don't travel to any other county very quick. So unlike my husband, who cannot say he's been to every county in Ireland, me, the tourist, can actually say that. And I think it took this English girl to show an Irish man exactly how wonderful and amazing Ireland is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Charles, what's the most sensible thing you've ever heard someone say?
Most sensible thing. Is that what you said? Most sensible thing?
Yes, most sensible thing.
That's a good one. Most sensible thing. My father always used to say, "Take your time and hurry up." Top of my head, I can't think of anything. When I first joined Toastmasters, somebody said to me, it was Mary in Toastmasters said to me that I always used to do my speeches real fast, talk real fast, and she was into racing, and she said, "Charles, you're doing a speech like you're doing a 100-meter dash. Act the speech is like a marathon. Pace yourself and take your time." Apart from that, I can't think of anything else at the top of my head. If it was given more time, maybe I could think of something. But at this point in time, I can't think of anything else.
That's all right. Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you. Now, Siobhan, if you won a 5-minute shopping spree at any shop in the world, where would you choose to go?
Thank you, Antoinette. Is that a 5-minute shopping
5 minutes.
spree? Oh, 5-minute shopping spree. That would be
Yes.
really, really easy for me because I've given up shopping. I have decided this year that I'm definitely not buying anything else. I have enough. I am enough. There's nothing more that I need in this world apart from the company of people around me. So if I did win a 5-minute shopping spree, I think I would do the really sensible thing and give it as a present to somebody else, somebody who enjoys shopping. I've really had shopping up to here. I have no interest. I don't need any more clothes. I don't need any more household items. In fact, what I need is less. So in addition to offering somebody else that prize of a 5-minute shopping spree, I think, in fact, I would open the doors of my house and say, come on in and take anything you want, please, but don't bring any more stuff into my life. When I look around, there's just stuff, and more stuff. But that feeling of when I begin to get rid of it, there is nothing. There is no shopping experience that can equal that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. I have covered, everybody has got a topic at this stage, Mr. Toastmaster. So will I leave it at that? Just looking at the time.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. Huge round of applause to Antoinette for giving a great range of topics.
Thank you.
There is a tradition in Athlone Toastmasters Club that one of the topics from the topics master goes back to the topics master. My question would be in terms of the question that you asked about if you win the lottery, what would be the first thing that you're going to buy? Thank you, Antoinette.
Thank you, Sept. Well, if I was to win the lottery and it was to be a really big, this is a dream now, and it was a really big prize, I'd love to buy a hotel and I'd bring all my friends, all my family, and we'd all go and we'd stay together and we'd be in an exclusive resort, nobody there, only ourselves. And we'd probably all get on fine for a couple of days and then everyone would want to go home quick, get away from everyone. But I think I love the idea, and I suppose maybe in the last year or two with the pandemic, that there's nothing like being together with your family, your friends, the people that actually mean something to you, and nothing takes the place of that. So that I would just love to bring us all together and to have everybody there that would be well and healthy. That is what I think I would do. But my husband would agree with you, David, and the John Deeres have to be outside as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Internet, for your answer. And it's really an auspicious answer in the sense that the value of relationship over things. You're buying the things, but it is to keep the relationships even more closer. And that's really an auspicious thought. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We are 2 to 9, so let's take a break for 10 minutes. So 2 to 9:10. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the break. Cheers. Welcome back from the break, everyone. If we were meeting face to face, we would have had some biscuits and whatever we like to drink, and would have some chat, but this was good as well, virtual chat. Something is better than nothing, as they say. One thing I need to apologize is I forgot to ask our general evaluator to introduce her role. So please, general evaluator, tell us about your role. Thank you so much.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. It's too late. It's too late. My job is to evaluate everybody's performance during the meeting. I am watching you very, very closely. I'll give you the report at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator Deirdre Muraku. And my sincere apologies. This is what happens when we take a long break and come back. Especially with me, I tend to forget a lot of things. So apologies for that. We go to the third part. No, actually, it's the second part of the meeting. The third part would be the evaluations. The second part is the prepared speeches. Because we have been going through a struggling time last year. I think we have lost a lot of members last year. The start this year has been a little bit slow. We don't have much members. So because of that, I have kind of double job today. So I'm doing the first speech and I'm doing the role of the Toastmaster as well. So I would like to ask Siobhan Fitzgerald, the speech evaluator of today, to please give the objectives of my speech. Thank you very much, Siobhan.
You're welcome, Samesh. So the objectives of Samesh's speech today are for the member to apply his or her mentoring skills to a short-term mentoring assignment. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspect of his or her first experience as a Toastmaster member. Over to you, Samesh.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. Fellow Toastmasters, good evening to everyone. I joined Toastmasters in December 2014. So this December, it'll be 7 years. The way I came into the Toastmasters meeting was two of my friends in Ericsson said that let's go and check out this club called Athlone Toastmasters. And I did not know what Toastmaster is at the time. We just came into the meeting, three of us, the three musketeers. And what we experienced was fantastic. One of my first thoughts about the meeting was, because it was 2 hours, I felt that it's a little bit too long. But otherwise, I like the whole format, the way the whole thing is set up from the beginning to the end, and the way things run in order. I really appreciated all those things. And the most important thing that I appreciated was in terms of the mentoring aspect that is there in Toastmasters. Six years down the line, in 2020 March, I had completed the Distinguished Toastmaster Award in the traditional path. That means completing around 40 speeches and doing a lot of educational sessions, leadership roles at different levels, club, and the district level. The first mentorship experience that I had was that of a new member who joined probably a quarter after when I joined. That was around 3 months. And I was expecting that it might be a smooth ride. But it depends on the members as well. And this is why the title of my speech is Enabling Continuous Learning. As a mentor, what we are doing is we are enabling continuous learning. Bob Proctor said that a mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. This is what the role of mentor is. The role of mentor is to provide that support to the person so that they recognize their own skills. As human beings, the potential that is within us is immense. How can I say that? We are talking to each other through this medium. Who created this medium of virtual communication where the whole world is at our fingertips, literally at our fingertips? The miles doesn't matter. We just can speak to another person at the click of a finger. This shows the potential of each and every one of us. And we are all uniquely positioned to create an impact in the world, which only we can create. No one else can create that impact. Each and every one of us. And just by our presence, we can create that impact. We don't even need to say one word. They say that if speech is silver, silence is golden. So communication is not only about what we speak, but it is also about what we don't speak. It's about how we treat others, how much respect we have for others. So coming back to the first experience that I had as a mentor, there was this person who was doing their first icebreaker speech. And I had at least 6 sessions with that person. The first session was in order to understand what they wanted to speak about. Because icebreaker the range is enormous. That was the first session about. The second session was about the flow of the speech in terms of how the introduction, the body, and the conclusion should be. And analyzing the content of the speech. The third session was about the delivery of the speech. And the consequent 4th, 5th, and 6th sessions were also about the delivery, along with making the speech more succinct. What happens in all the speeches is, especially in the beginning, we have thousands of things to convey. And we want to convey everything in one speech. And that was what was noticed. So what I had to mentor was about being succinct and telling the person that the content of one speech could actually be given in 10 speeches. I think this is what we have to understand when we speak. The less is more. And this is what, as mentors and even as proteges, we need to learn. So we have to understand that we have to be a mentor to ourselves as well. So someone who sees in ourselves more talent and ability in us from the present moment to the future moment. So is my present at least 1% better than the past? Then I'm mentoring myself in a good way, and I'll be able to become a good mentor to someone else as well. Thank you so much for your time. I'll put on my hat as a Toastmaster of the day, and I would like to introduce our second speaker of this meeting, and that is Sharon Dooley, who is our new member who joined just the end of the last Toastmasters year. And Sharon's speech is from Motivational Strategies, Level 1, speech number 2. And the title is From Hero to Zero. From Zero to Hero. And the speech evaluator for the speech is Francis Keenan. Francis, can you please give us the objective of Sharon's speech? Thank you.
Okay, well, you've said a lot of it there, Samash, but I'll just follow it up. Like, it is motivational strategies, and it's level 1, it's project 2, and it's an evaluation and feedback, and the time is between 7 and 5 minutes. And the title is From Hero to Zero and Back Again. So with a speech called From Hero to Zero and Back Again, Sharon Dooley.
Oh, look. Wow, can you see it? Can you see it? It's a superhero. Ah, a superhero. How amazing, how magical and how wonderful. If you could be a superhero, what would your special power be? Well, I didn't get to choose when I was a superhero for the first time round. You see, everybody that met me would look at my life and say, you're Wonder Woman. Wow, you have seven children. Oh my gosh, how do you do it? And not only do you have 7 children, but you're the chairperson of the Parents Teachers Association. That's really a commitment. You also coach the Camogie team. Wow, you're fantastic. And you bake for all the meetings that we have to raise money for school funds. Well done, you. You are a powerhouse. You also run 2 businesses. You're an award-winning hair and makeup artist. I mean, just look at all these awards that you keep on winning. And on top of that, you run a business to help women with their body image. You are amazing. Was that enough? No. You also run a triathlon. And in your 40s, nonetheless, you are crowned the first ever Miss Curves Island. You are a superhero. I mean, yes, you fly to London and you model, And yes, you do a weekly slot on a radio show. Yes, you have a weekly online show. Yes, you do all of this. We couldn't do all of that. Well, guess what? After a short period of time, nor could I suffered what you would call total burnout. I didn't think it was a real thing. I used to think that kind of thing was for wimps. No, boy, was I wrong. I ended up taking off this cape of a superhero and folding it away on the couch next to me. Because you see, the more people told me I was a superhero, the more I felt I had to be one. The more people were in awe of all the things I was doing, the crazier I got with doing things. I used to thrive because I didn't feel good enough, because I felt unworthy and a complete imposter. When somebody gave me that old pat on the back, it spurred me forward to fly higher with this imaginary cape. But alas, the cape fell off and I fell to the couch, unable to even talk and communicate with my family. I was there for nearly 3 months. I couldn't function. I had this thing that I now know is called brain fog. My body was in crippling pain. I knew I hadn't fell over, but I just wasn't sure if I had broke my arm or my leg or both, and whether or not I should go to A&E. And then there was this thing where I just couldn't keep awake. This superhero that felt she was indispensable to so many suddenly became flattened, and everyone had to deal without her. I was on the couch suffering, later diagnosed as something that I now know is called fibromyalgia. At the time, I hadn't a clue what that was, but believe me, I know what it is now. I had wiped myself out. This superhero's wings were clipped. And you know what? There was probably no harm in a way to slow me down, because I wasn't doing things for the reason of me. I was doing things for the reason of you, or at least what I thought you thought I was. I had to take time out. I had to change my story and really reassess my life. For the first time in my life, I suffered depression. I felt useless, and I even felt suicidal, a feeling I had never, ever felt before. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I had fell so far from my imaginary fame. But what was I going to do? Was I going to stay there forever? Well, I did. For 3 months, I gained a lot of weight. I wasn't exercising, I was comfort eating. One day, I can't really explain why, I woke up and said, this is not my story. I need to do something about that. Then I learned something called self-love. Wow, mind blown. I thought self-love was selfish. Then I realized I needed to practice self-love and take care of myself to get myself back on my feet for other people. I started doing something called me time, looking at the things that I enjoyed and things that I liked to do. In fact, I took up things like painting. I discovered that I was actually pretty good at it. I also spent time evaluating myself, my needs, my health, my diet. I became thankful. Gratitude has changed my life. In fact, everything to do with self-love has changed my life. Celebrating the wins that I want and building up myself as my own superhero instead of what I thought other people wanted me to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Great speech. And the message is very auspicious as well in terms of delivering how self-love is extremely important for everyone. give 1 minute of time so that we can give Sharon some comments about her speech. Please send it directly to Sharon. Thank you. We go to the last part of the meeting now, which is the evaluation section. And to evaluate the speaker one speech, I would like to introduce Siobhan Fitzgerald to the stage to please give us the evaluation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. It was my pleasure this evening to evaluate your speech. And well done, you certainly achieved the objective of sharing with us the experience of your first mentoring experience within Toastmasters. So what you did really well, what you excelled at, I found, was just sharing that personal story always connects. So it was very valuable to hear about your experience. And I thought this would have been so ideally suited for the first meeting of the year, more especially if there were some new members and guests present, because it would reveal the whole potential of mentoring within Toastmasters. And I think it has done that. It's reminded some of the members who've been here for a while, and it's given some insight as well to some of our new members. So really well done on that. I loved your pace. I loved your obvious passion that came across in your presentation. And also just mentioning and building up to that mentoring aspect as what you have appreciated most within Toastmasters. What I think you need to work on, and I'm following the specific evaluation sheet on this. I did think I loved the quote when it came in, and I wondered, why did you not open with it? Why did you not open with something that might grab our attention more? I think it would have been very suitable at the beginning. That quote, a mentor is someone who sees more talent in you than someone else and helps bring it out of you, by Bob Proctor. And when I was asked to consider as well, offering you some kind of advice on something to challenge you, you're such an accomplished speaker, Sept, at this stage. But I think one thing that I would like to challenge you with is, I would like to ask you to speak directly to the audience in terms of asking rhetorical questions. So say, for example, if you had began with that quote, you could then have said to us, have any of you seen, or has someone seen more talent in you than you've seen in yourself? How did that make you feel? So I think what will really add power and punch to your presentations going forward, Sept, is just to play around with and explore using more rhetorical devices. But in summary, I think you had a really, really strong message. And I loved that idea of how we can make such a huge impact with our presence, how we don't need to be speaking all the time, and how important it is to remember that, and how less is more. So I think if you challenge yourself to use rhetorical devices, use rhetorical questions, you'll draw your audience in more, and you will make an even greater impact. Well done, Sept.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. Great evaluation as usual. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite Francis Keenan to the virtual stage to please give us the evaluation of Sharon's speech. Thank you very much, Francis.
I will. I'm not sure if you can hear the background noise now. There's a lot of it behind me, but I will. Okay,
We can't
that's
hear.
good. But Sharon, it certainly was a very motivational speech, and it actually, I think it knocked the audience on the back. You built yourself up into this incredible person, and we were getting into that. This person is so successful. We're wondering, what have you achieved? Like, are you the manager of some place? And it was a big shock in the center when you spoke about burnout. And that is a very difficult position to be in. But your opening was excellent. You got the attention of the audience immediately, talking about this wonderful hero. And your body in itself was very well structured. You described this person that was very successful. You moved, you constantly punched success, success, success. And then you hit us with the burnout and the impact that burnout had on you. You talked about the various things you weren't able to do, how useless you felt. You couldn't move, you were of no benefit to anyone. And that transition from one to the other was very, very effective and used very well. But you talked about then how you came out of it, how you got through. You talked about the painting of pictures and the importance of self-love, which is not selfish. Your voice, I thought, was very colorful and very clear. Plus, your speech, for anyone listening, was easy to understand. I think perhaps people need to hear more about burnout. And if you at the end were to say and give a few examples of how to avoid burnout, it would give people something to take away with them and to challenge themselves to watch out for something like that, because it can happen to any one of us. And it is, I have had the experience myself. It doesn't wait. You don't feel it coming on. It just hits you like a truck and you're physically and mentally exhausted and you can do nothing. And if people could realize that rushing through life, it'll hit you and you won't even know it until it hits you. So I would say that would be the recommendation I would give. A recommendation to an excellent speech. And I would love if people could understand that and how much they would watch themselves and control and not get too motivated and not, take on too much, because, we all have limits and boundaries and we all need to watch them. But taking into account that recommendation, your speech was very clear and it had a very clear purpose. It was certainly very well prepared and organized, and it had a definite opening, body and conclusion. And I have to say, your face was telling us the story also. So it was an excellent speech, very, very touching. And I think people will see a lot from it. And it definitely have given people something to take away from this meeting with them. So as I said, excellent speech, well done. And I'm looking forward to your next speech, Sharon. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis, for an excellent evaluation again. Now we go to the last section in terms of the reports from the roll holders. I would like to invite grammarian of this meeting, David, to please give us his report. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. I'll just give the grammarian's report there now. Yes, there was some very good speeches and evaluations and some very interesting quotes. It just goes to show after the 3 months or so that were off, how ring rusty I am. I just can't remember any of them now at this point. But very little from an ums and ahs point of view. Very good. There was none in the prepared speeches, and I think everybody spoke coherently and succinctly. So I probably am the one that's most. I'm very guilty of ums and ahs, as you can imagine. But the word for the day, auspicious, and I'm happy to say that it got in there quite a few times. Probably didn't get them all. Semesh used it about 6 or 7 times, and I think Antonesh used it once. Siobhan might have used it once as well. So yeah, it's not that all that forensic a report. So I'll get better at it as the year wears on. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, David, for your report. I'd like to ask the general evaluator of the meeting to please give us your report. Thank you very much.
Just before I give my report, if I could have the timers report.
I'll send you those. Or I can mention those.
If you could mention them, be great.
Okay.
How long the 2 speeches were and the evaluations to start with.
Yeah. So first, I want to mention that the meeting started at 2027. Then the president opening and the roles intro were for 7.55 minutes. Then the speeches from Semesh was for 7.53 minutes. And the evaluator was for 2:35 minutes. Then the second speech from Sharon Dooley was 6 minutes and 31 seconds. And the evaluation from Francis was 4:43 minutes. And yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Monica, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Now, well done, everybody. As Monica pointed out, whoops, the meeting started slightly late, but this is the first meeting of the season. It's on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every single month, so it's nice to have a relaxed, nice, easy way to ease into the meetings. Normally, I know the meetings start on time and end on time, and it looks as though we'll definitely be ending on time tonight. So first of all, to start with our Toastmaster of the evening, Semesh was relaxed, humorous. I love the give 100% of your effort, but not your blood. So I definitely think we'll all try and avoid that. It's nice to have that little light-hearted note at the start. Then you got everybody to get plenty of quotes throughout the thing, and you kept the whole meeting going in a relaxed way and introducing people along the way. You introduced then the timer, I think, was first, and we just heard from Monique there just a couple of seconds ago, and Monique had the cards and showed us exactly how she was going to do it throughout the meeting. Then David Dolan came on with the grammarian report and the A counter, and he introduced us and told us exactly what he was looking for throughout the meeting. So we knew he was going to look for crutch words, improper use of language, but actually I'm looking forward sometime in the future to hear some improper use of language during a Toastmasters meeting. It's not something that happens very often, but I'm looking forward to it. Someday it'll happen. And the word of the day, auspicious, thought of it lots of times. Again, it's something I need to practice on, making sure that I use the word of today, especially on such an auspicious occasion as this. Doesn't even count because it's too late. The topics master Antoinette this evening had loads of interesting topics, a lot of them topical. We had, okay, this is where I struggle trying to read my own writing. I think I was hit with the first one with the countryside and the relaxed versus town and the pandemic effect. Then we had things about bucket lists. It went from bucket list to digital banking to the challenge, just that make you, whether they make you strong or not, the lotto, what's the most expensive? I like that idea, the most expensive thing that you can buy as opposed to how you're going to spend your money. Then about great trips, staycations, we got great responses to all of these things. I like the most sensible thing that you've ever heard people say, and 5-minute shopping street, among others. So it was lovely, nice, humorous, interesting, topical things, and some great answers. I'm really seeing David painting his tractor when he doesn't win enough to buy a John Deere tractor plus loader. Now I have to find out what a blah is. I have no idea what a blah is. That I'm sure somebody will enlighten me sometime in the future. So anyway, we had a nice long break, and again, it takes a little while to get back into order. I think it's always good when you know, you forget to do something, that you do it as soon as you remember it or it's pointed out to you. And Semesh, our able Toastmaster, was on the ball there, and he did that. Each then the speech evaluations, the speeches and speech evaluations. Well, Siobhan and Francis both read out the objectives of the speech and made a very clear idea of what was going to happen during the speeches. And then when I don't comment on the speeches themselves, except for that, you know, it was just absolutely fantastic to hear the speeches, how inspirational and powerful they were. The first speech from Semesh about Toastmasters and the importance of mentoring in Toastmasters and his own personal stories. And then Sharon D had a very, very powerful story herself. Moving on from that, because that's the job of the evaluators to comment on that. So we had the, I'm route to this here, the evaluation of the speeches. I thought that Siobhan herself, being a very experienced speaker, was positive, encouraging, pointing out all the good things that Semesh was saying during his speech. And of course, and she had, you know, I love the use, I know you used it was the power of 2 more than the power of 3, but pace and passion. And then you had something later on to keep it power and punch, you know, between the two. I love the use of those particular words during it. You had, of course, the evaluation for Semesh about how to work on the start, how to grab your audience from the very, very start to keep them there and interested and completely relevant. And I love the idea of also you had something to challenge Semesh, to ask him to use more rhetorical devices. So very well done there. And of course, both speakers summarized, both of the evaluators summarized their evaluation at the end well. So again, Francis, Sharon D's speech definitely very much resonated with you. You had some great use of phrases, knocked the audience on the back. I think that really expressed some of the, certainly the feelings I was getting from it, that there was definitely a throw your head back there like that. You also spoke about burnout. You mentioned about how the body of the speech is very well structured, that Sharon D hit us with the burnout and its effect on people. You admired her transitions, and you had some very interesting feedback for her about how people maybe give some examples, since this is such a serious and sensitive topic, but maybe some examples about exactly burnout and how people could avoid it or handle it when it happens. So you had great praise for her organization, her opening body, and plenty of praise and plenty of good things to say throughout that. So very well done there to Siobhan and to Francis for that. And I think the timing, as the timer said, was 2:35 for the first evaluation for Siobhan and 4:43 for Francis. So that's something we can all work on. As I said, you really resonated with you there, Francis. And the next part was David with the grammarian. And I love the way he used Semesh's phrase, succinct, to describe his own report. And yes, I'm doing exactly the same. I'm trying to be as succinct as possible. So they very well done in that, expressing that we were all coherent and succinct throughout. I love the mea culpa about the ums and ahs. I do think that's a good thing to say in Toastmasters, because we're not perfect. We don't do things right. And sometimes we get a little bit rusty. I personally nearly always forget to count the ums and ahs when it's my role. I loved the use of I loved it when you said it was not going to be a forensic report. You know, even in your own feedback as grammarian, you gave some great phrases there for that. And thanks also to Monique the timer for the first time new member to Toastmasters, who waved her magic cards throughout the program, and who also kept track of the start of each speech and the length of each speeches. So very well done to everybody who took part in the meeting, who was relaxed, light-hearted, good-humoured. Great to see 9 people here. Lovely. Looking forward to seeing double 9 here for the next meeting. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator, for a very comprehensive evaluation from the beginning to the end. Thank you so much for that. And a huge round of applause to Monica as well for giving a great job in terms of the timer role the first time in the meeting. Thank you so much for doing that, Monica. We come to the end of the meeting now. I'd like to bring us back to that quote that Anna has kind of prepared for this. Whatever you do, always give 100% unless you're donating blood. It's quite a good one. Yes, so this is what we try to do. We try to put in 100% to whatever we do. Because if we do it in that frame of mind, not only are we inspiring ourselves with our 100%, but that inspiration flows out from us and it goes on to everyone else as well. So thank you so much for being an inspiring members today. And we are all inspiring each other through our contribution to the Toastmasters International in general and to Athlone Toastmasters in particular. Thank you very much. And we can close this meeting with that. Thank you so much.